Hello, I'm Wendy Rinaldi. In this film, I'm going to start with some background about neurodiversity and then look at my work, Social Use of Language programme, in the context of neurodiversity affirming intervention. The neurodiversity movement aims to shift how autistic experience is viewed in educational clinical research and social settings. It is framed as a distinct way of being in the world, as worthy as any other, regardless of an individual's patterns of ability and aspects of disability. The authors also note that traditionally marginalised groups have historically had a great stake but little say in how interventions for themselves have been designed, and despite being targets of intervention practice and research for over 60 years, autistic people have been left out of the conversation. They highlight a pressing need for a neurodiversity affirming intervention framework that enables consideration of which outcomes really matter and which procedures, such as inclusion of students with autism of all ages, can uplift neurodiverse perspectives in intervention. They suggest that neurodiversity affirming interventions reframe the goals of interventions to focus on supporting strengths and allow them to be more evident in the face of the challenges that autistic students face, rather than explicitly focusing on the challenges, and to not prioritise normative social behaviour. This approach has implications for autism-focused interventions which aim to reduce or eliminate symptoms which are incompatible with a neurodiversity perspective. Instead, neurodiversity-affirming interventions should focus on facilitating interdependence, collaborating and engaging with people who have a range of strengths and challenges to achieve social common goals, where there is informed choice in the intervention process, including the intervention's target. For me, the key is shared understanding, and this is central to all of my work, including the Social Use of Language programme, especially when it's delivered to groups, as recommended. And together with the shared understanding, there can be shared strengths and shared challenges, because we all face challenges as we experience the social ups and downs throughout our lives in a less than perfect world. SULP is neurodiversity affirming in a number of ways. Firstly, because at its heart, it's about preparing and equipping students to make informed choices that work for them, both in the future and considering their current needs. The approach SULP uses very much endorses interdependence and collaboration of students with a range of strengths, and it's why I've always advocated inclusive approaches with student groups who can learn from each other with the support of staff. I've also used this approach with families. As we'll see in a moment, it focuses on outcomes that are important for well-being and matter a great deal to our students. I find there are some areas where children with autism have much insight and can give others a helping hand, just as they need a helping hand with other areas. I find this is more to do with their experiences than their autism, and their perspectives too, which vary from individual to individual. That's what I find so exciting when I use the programme with students. It provides a common focus for shared understanding and different perspectives, the collaboration in engaging with others who have a range of strengths and challenges to achieve social common goals, highlighted in the paper by Lerner, Gerber and Gassner. SULP's initial focus on understanding and metacognition enables all students to see how a variety of skills can help them, and when it comes to practice, they can choose the ones they want to try or not try, what feels best for them. I explain this to the students using the analogy of trying on clothes. It's about something that feels comfortable for them, finding a good fit. And it's the shared understanding of this that's so important. This understanding also helps students to realise why they may have struggled or found life challenging in the past, and it's not always down to them. And this in itself significantly improves their well-being in my experience. So an example of a skill that can be helpful socially is eye contact. I've included this as an example on this film because teachers and therapists often ask me about it, as we know that eye contact can be a particular challenge for children with autism. And it can be a challenge for others too. For example, children with low self-esteem who feel like opting out from being with others. Other children, with or without special needs, who are comfortable with eye contact, may not realise how they can use it socially and how helpful it can be. I still include eye contact in the programme as a social skill of listening, alongside many other social listening skills from which students can choose, because there's no doubt that these skills have many important and functional applications in life. For example, it's easier to engage with someone who shows they are listening to you, and this can involve eye contact, even if only for the odd moment. And that's important for relationships, including boy-girl relationships that can be very important to all young people, including those with autism. These skills can also be very important at times when students may be vulnerable. I'll come back to this later. So people can be listening, but if they don't show it, they can seem not to be. So that's where the social listening kicks in. For example, with what you say next. So I think it's important we help students understand how skills can help them and give them opportunities to practice so they can have the skills at the ready should they come across social experiences where they need or want to use them. Say it's an interview for a job the student particularly wants, or another kind of situation important to them. Eye contact and listener feedback skills are something they may well want to know about. And when it comes to using the skills, it's important that the choice is very much left to the students. They are given the opportunity to practice what they feel comfortable with. This is incredibly important so that students can be themselves without feeling the need to mask. And this is something we focus on in the section on self-esteem that runs alongside the activities to develop social communication. I'll come back to this in a moment. So it is about making choices at the end of the day, and the choices we make can vary according to how we are feeling, who we're with and how we feel about them, or maybe the occasion. It's the same for all of us, and when I work with students, my aim is to give them knowledge and understanding so that they get to expand their range of choices while keeping in their comfort zone. Social listening, including eye contact, is just one of the many areas covered by SULP. Some sections specifically focus on acceptance and celebrating difference, such as sections on self-esteem, where I think acceptance is key. I've worked with many students over the years, and my experience has taught me that acceptance is key to both self-esteem and well-being. Acceptance helps you to feel calm, at peace with yourself, and gives you a strong grounding to look at making changes where you feel you need to or want to. In SULP, this is achieved by many different activities around the themes on the slide. Activities include stories, picture plays, games, posters and takeaways. Another section of SULP, called It's OK to Disagree, encourages students to value different perspectives as interesting and insightful. And there's a section called OK or Not, which helps students to tune into the reactions of others to decide for themselves if what they're doing is OK or not. There are then many sections that help students to look after themselves in difficult situations, such as when it's tough saying no, handling situations that seem unfair to you, wind-ups, put-downs and bullies, including the charming or sneaky ones. Sometimes bullying can be quite subtle, and youngsters may not realise they're being bullied, although they do experience the effects and end up feeling very unhappy without knowing why. And there is a section that helps students stand up for themselves effectively in situations where they may be vulnerable. These areas are incredibly important to all students, and when I have worked with youngsters in the youth justice system, some of whom have had autism, they have told me how they wish they could have worked on these areas when they were younger. The choice of what interventions to target is an interesting one. I've always involved students in targets and goals, but at the same time, when children have special needs, they often need to learn in small steps that link and build. So I think it's important to always show how the steps are contributing to the learning target they want. The metacognitive approach enables this with features such as the big picture, that's the chosen intervention target visualised in a way the students can understand, and making links explicit in comprehension activities so that the students are clear how what they are learning contributes to their desired goals. I hope this film has given a sense of how SULP is neurodiversity affirming. Please get in touch with any comments and questions. I'm currently offering subsidies on the primary SULP for the whole school licence and supporting schools to develop whole school inclusive approaches, in part with the neurodiversity affirming framework in mind. So please get in touch about this as well if you would like more information. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.